I had a purpose before everybody had an opinion.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out.
You want Philly?
Chase Utley, you are the man.
You come out backyard and you try to start something, you always get your butt kicked.
The prayers have been answered.
How about those Eagles, baby?
And Rio Muto can run for days.
Can you feel what's about to happen on this field, man?
A perfect game. Roy Halladay has thrown the second perfect game in Philadelphia Phillies history.
Here we are again, another week of Philly Talk, another disappointing week of Philly Talk. Now, if you've been keeping up with the videos I put out these past couple of times, I know it's annoying to keep reiterating, but so I'm in finals week right now, so this time I'm actually going to stick to my words and actually keep it short because I really need all the time I can right now. But so, obviously, the big thing, the Eagles lost to the Cowboys. Very disappointing, but at the same time, I called it, Now, I didn't call the games correctly. We won at home, they won at home, which is surprising because usually it's the other way around for whatever reason. But we end up losing to the Cowboys. Really not what you want to see. And it was just overall a terrible game. Like, we're not going to stick to the good, the bad, and all that, because there was really no good from this game for the most part. It was just terrible from all sides. It was just the offense really couldn't get things going. Like, when you're looking at the box scores, you think, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith had a decent game, which they did. 94 yards for AJ, 73 for Devontae Smith. But then you start looking at the fact that Devontae Smith was targeted 10 times, only got the ball 5 times, caught it 5 times. AJ 13, only caught it 9. And then you look at the fact that both not only fumbled the ball, but they lost it. And then Jalen fumbled the ball as well. And it was just a terrible game, turnover-wise. Jalen really couldn't get much going. Passing, rushing, they only gave DeAndre Swift 11 attempts of rushing, and he only got 39 yards. What are we doing? It's like we've just completely abandoned the run these past couple of games. Defensively, Hassan Reddick had 2 sacks. Fletcher Cox got 1. They had the forced fumble as well. What else happened? That forced fumble led to Jalen Carter taking it all the way. That was pretty cool to see. But after the game, you just saw a lot of different guys saying things, like Josh Sweat was saying, that this defensive line, like similar to last year, just prides itself on being able to get that pressure, and now they are struggling, and what's it called, I'm not going to be, like I always say, I'm not going to complain about no penalties, no, referees, at times does it anger me, yes, but it's like I keep reiterating, it shouldn't come down to that, and it's like it can happen on both sides. The biggest example, you have the Chiefs over here complaining about ref calls, and now everyone's pulling out their history of times calls went in their favor, so it could just be done for anybody, anyone can complain about refs, but teams have benefited and struggled because of, the penalties and the calls from refs, so there's nothing really much you can do about it at this point. That's part of the game, as dumb as it sounds. That's part of the game. Sometimes you're going to get calls going your way. Sometimes you're not, And I know on one play, Slay got called. I think it was for pass interference or for holding. And, was it not? I don't know. But it's just that thing of, you heard the commentators even mention, a guy who's been in the year that long, he'll kind of get some leeway. And it's like, why is that? It's kind of the same thing with the quarterback hits and the sacks. When it comes to, what's roughing the passer? It's like these refs seem to be more lenient to certain quarterbacks and not others. So it's like it's just a part of the game. Even though you look at that, you're like, why is it that they would get more? Why is it that the refs, would be less inclined to call it on a veteran player compared to a rookie. You know, it's like it should be the same no matter what. But that's the league we live in. You know, that's the league we have. So that's why I never complain, because it's like for as many times as I can complain about calls not going the Eagles' way, there's so many times the calls have gone in our favor, you know. But moving past all of this, you know, because obviously it's a big loss, you know, because now at this point, I believe, let's see, I believe we obviously are tied with Dallas. You know, obviously both of us 10-3, but I'm trying to see. This thing doesn't have the overall standings. That's what I want to see, because I want to see if the Niners have the lead now, because as you know, that's been like the battle so much for the number 1 seed. So I'm trying to see. You know, that's always been our biggest worry, is like keeping that 1 seed. So looking towards the playoffs, yeah, the Niners have the 1 seed right now. They win the tiebreaker over Dallas because of head-to-head win percentage, because they beat Dallas. And right now, Dallas has the NFC East. Even though we're tied, they technically have the tiebreaker because of division games. They have a better win percentage because obviously we still haven't played the Giants yet. But if that's the biggest thing, we have 4 games that, you know, people are saying like, oh, it should be wins, like we win out, get the number 1 seed again and all that. But it's like, we're playing Seattle, who we haven't beat since 2008, you know. And overall, like in the past like 25 years, I think I saw the stat was, it's like they're 8-3 against us, you know. So I even said it in my season predictions. Seattle is a team that we always struggle against for whatever reason, you know. And if we lose to them, that screws us up even more against San Fran, you know, who I think they've beaten. Have they beaten the Seahawks both times? Let's see. I think. Oh wait, they beat them there. Yeah, they beat them both times. So even one loss to them would like really screw things up for us, you know. And another thing is like with the way this team's playing, can we fully believe that they're going to go 4-0 in this stretch, even if it's against bad teams, you know? If Dallas can find a way to lose to Arizona, what's to say we don't find a way to lose, you know? But overall, it's going to be an interesting stretch. I'm most worried about the Seattle game. I'm not really worried about the final 3 games. I think they should easily take care of business if they just, you know, turn back the clock to 2022 and get out to big leads to start the game, you know, instead of this, oh, we'll kind of have our foot off the gas these first 2 quarters and then start trying in the second half, but we're going to be down by like 17 plus points by the time we actually start trying, you know. It's baffling the way they play. I've already said enough as I can about the freaking coordinators and just, I mean, at this point, also it's on Sirianni as well. I know I haven't complained as much about Sirianni compared to the coordinators, but it's on Sirianni as well, because he's the one that's mainly drawing up the schemes for these coordinators, you know, and he's the one that's relaying information to them on what he wants them to do, you know. Obviously, Stumpy's not working, and the worst part is, none of them want to make adjustments. You know, like like I've said throughout the year, for whatever reason, Brian Johnson doesn't adapt to the game, you know. I don't know what it is, but he just doesn't adapt. At least, you know, Sean Desai can adapt at times, but he's been struggling really the past 3 weeks, you know, with this defense and adjusting and getting them put in the right positions. And, you know, it goes on all the coaching staff, because it's like, look at that offense. Nothing has changed from last year. You still have A.J. Brown. You still have Devontae Smith. You still have Jalen Hurts. You now have DeAndre Swift in the backfield, who's been looking amazing, to pair with Kenneth Gainwell and, you know, Boston Scott and Rashad Penny, who we've seen like nothing of this year. What was the point of going out and signing him if we're not going to do anything? You know, like I guess they must be seeing things different. They must not think he's good enough to get some touches or whatever. But that offensive line is pretty much the same for the most part. It's still Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelsey. You got Cam Jurgens at right guard this time, and Lane Johnson on the right tackle spot. Nothing's really changed. It's still Dallas Goedert right there, but yet they're struggling, and what's the missing piece? It's the fact that Shane Steichen's not the OC. And I know a lot of people have their thoughts on Shane Steichen, but it's like, look at what he's doing with the Colts right now, of all teams, Like, right now, they're the seventh seed for the playoffs. They're 7-6, and he's doing this after Anthony Richardson went down, who was looking really good under, his scheme. And he's doing this with Gardner Minshew, I'm just saying, it's like I saw my dad was telling me some people were like, oh, do the Eagles miss Gannon as defensive coordinator? No, we miss Shane Steichen as our OC because we have an OC out here who can adapt. And as far as DC, I don't miss Gannon, but I would love something different than Sean Desai with the way he's kind of played a couple of these games this year, because he's had some real great performances like that Chiefs game where they pretty much locked them down the second half. The Dolphins game, limiting Miami to only 17. He's had some great showings, but then there's other times where, like the past 3 weeks, he's just allowed us to get crazily outscored. But also, I think, again, it ties back to the offense. When the offense isn't able to get these long drives out there, that forces the defense to be on the field longer and longer, thus depleting their energy, So it's both sides, And as far as people asking, well, what's different from this team? Because I saw someone say, this can't be the same team that, got like 70 sacks last season, Like they were like, this can't be the same Eagles team, Like they don't have, they're not, or the same Eagles defense, It's like they're saying that they don't have this or that and all that. But I guess the biggest thing to me, I'm trying to look at the sack numbers. I think we have 33 on the year, if this is correct. The biggest thing is the fact that we had so much turnover on the defensive side, and we didn't have the cap to properly make up for it, And that's, of course, due to a lot of the contracts we have and have signed. But it's like, a lot of people were saying it during that off season, and yet now they're still wondering, like, now, why is it like that? It's like, it's obvious. Everyone was saying it from the moment it happened. They were losing all these defensive pieces. That defense isn't going to be the same. We lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. We lost Javon Hargrave. We lost both of our linebackers in Kaiser White and TJ Edwards, Avonte Maddox is down with injury. On the defensive line, though their stats didn't really show up in like the box scores and all that, the Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph, people forget how vital they were post that game against the Commanders last season, where we were really struggling against the run. We brought them in. They helped out a lot. Those linebackers helped out a lot, because now these teams really don't even have to worry about the defensive line, pressuring them, because they know they can just look over the middle and there's going to be no coverage whatsoever there. There's going to be nothing stopping them from targeting us over the middle and getting those easy yards. Like, you look at these games, and not a lot of times are these teams going deep on the Eagles. Like, there's obviously a couple of plays, but for the most part, especially the past 3 weeks, they've just been targeting over the middle. And it's because we don't have those linebackers there. And I've been saying it for the longest time. Prior to the trade deadline, I was saying, yes, safety is a position of importance too, but we need to look into a linebacker. We need a linebacker. Someone who could, be that sort of, that coverage in the middle, to where defenses can't, they have to be weary of this person in the middle, But they just, for whatever reason, the Eagles have never prioritized linebacker positions. I don't know what it is, but they just never do it. And, for us, obviously, the losing Kaiser White and TJ Edwards was a big blow. And the saddest part is that we couldn't do anything about it. Kaiser White, I believe, is with the Cardinals right now because he chose to go follow Gannon. And then, with TJ Edwards, it was about wanting to go back home, essentially. Like, he took a discount, essentially, to go play at home. And then we all know what happened with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I still think it was, a terrible decision to let him go. But then again, at the same time, I don't know what the heck his agent was thinking. I get it, you want to test the market, but like, it was just a thing of not understanding the Eagles. Like, they were just in the Super Bowl. They're trying their best to utilize the cap they have. They can't spend all this time waiting on your decision. That's why they had to go out and make the offer to James Bradbury, and I think they extended Slay as well. It was, or like, I forgot. I think they released him and then signed him to a new contract. I forgot what it was that happened with Slay, but they did that stuff with him and Bradbury. And then by the time Chauncey was thinking of coming back, I was like, we don't have the cap space no more because we were too busy trying to keep this defense from losing too many pieces, because at that point, I think they had already lost both the linebackers. They had lost Javon Hargrave, I think, at that point, and it's just like, you kind of need to make the decisions for your team and all that. So that's my thoughts as far as that whole scenario, just like, what is different from this team? It's like, it's that, like, especially this defense, it's like they're not being able to get this pressure because they don't have the linebacker support, because especially, remember when we drafted Nakobe Dean? That's what so many people were saying in regards to Jordan Davis. They were like, he was so great at Georgia with that Georgia line. That Georgia line was so great because they had guys like Nakobe Dean back there at the linebacker position to, be a field general and make sure that, they were locking things up enough that it gave the defensive line enough time to get to the quarterback. And it's like, unlike right here, since we don't have those linebackers, these guys can't get to the quarterback. They got a ton of pressures, they got a ton of QB hits, but they're not getting there in time because these quarterbacks are just able to get the ball out so quickly because there's no linebackers there. As a lot of people are praising Zach Cunningham's play, and of course he's doing well, but the thing is also, again, it's not to be mean to the guy, but like, he looks good because of the other linebackers we have playing next to him. Like, that's why we were waiting so desperately for him to come back, because at least he's an upgrade from Nicholas Morrow, who's been struggling. And I can't remember really much from Darius Leonard, or is it Shaq? No, wait, I forget. Is it Darius Leonard or Shaq Leonard? I forget what he goes by now. I think it's Shaq Leonard. But that whole thing of like, we've been needing that linebacker support desperately, and we just don't have it. And I don't know how they're going to get it, They're going to have to really make some decisions this off season. It's just like, I don't know, like, they got too many big contracts on the books, and at the same time, they're not in like the right places in a sense, because like, I'm sorry, man, but I'm just so frustrated with this Eagles team not prioritizing the defense, especially, it's annoying, man. It's very annoying, and overall, just very disappointing, past couple of weeks with the Eagles. Obviously we got an easier schedule to look ahead of. Still worried about that Seattle game, but it's gonna be an interesting couple of weeks. It's gonna be interesting to see where they finish out in the division, but all you can do is just have hope that this team can find a way to put it together. But as it stands right now, I hope it ages badly, but I don't know. I watch this team play, I watch these games, and I'm just like, this doesn't look like a Super Bowl winning team, but I need them to desperately make changes to kind of get back to that form. And then, of course, to close out the video, I don't know. It's tough to come up with brotherly shove jokes at this point, man. Just kind of runs dry. The only thing I can really bring up is that recently I was seeing an interview with Mark Henry, where he revealed he once squatted 1,000 pounds. And I was like, what the heck? That's insane, So as far as the brotherly shove goes, I have the proposition that we sign Mark Henry, and we either put him at one of the lineman spots, or we just have him run the brotherly shove for us. Because if Jalen is a problem with the fact that he squats 600 pounds, imagine Mark Henry, who once squatted 1,000.